Good morning, America. Chris Sanders here at American News Network, major news network on Roku. Russia has a new jamming device. They let it out at Kaliningrad. It took over Poland. It took over Estonia. Everywhere they lost their GPS and everything else. This is a heads up because this is what they're using to make it to where our smart bombs don't work. They're going to be working in tandem out there with China in the Red Sea. They got new technology to where our missiles don't work, and I'm going to give a heads up to the Navy. If our guided munitions aren't working and they're off, well, are we going to be able to land our planes if they're going to be using them on our planes and aircraft carriers because everything's going to be off that works on GPS? I got about 30 topics to go over this morning with you, and comment to see if we're going to keep on streaming here because we've had some technical difficulties. Number one, Supreme Court goes against the state of Texas 5-4. Is that treason? Texas has already spent $10 billion in Operation Lone Star. And how is the federal government going to pay the state of Texas back now that they don't have the petrodollar anymore, so they can't basically print out money that China's going to scoop up and buy bonds with? So how is the United States going to cover the state of Texas and everybody else that they go into debt with? Is this going to be the beginning of a civil war? A lot of people need to know, because we can't have all of the states going against each other or our own federal government changing over state policies, which cost billions of dollars while we have record unemployment, record homeless, and they want to lie about every single statistic. Look on Facebook about all these jobs. When you go out and you buy a cup of coffee now, it's $7 to $8. It's just unreal in the United States. But the Supreme Court, in my opinion, has committed treason against the U.S. public. And how is that? We'll just read the first paragraph in the Constitution. They've ruined the posterity of America. They can't take care of the general welfare or regulate us in any way. And if they're not looking at the first paragraph, what kind of Supreme Court are they? Okay, 2, U.S. Army base was taken out by a rogue wave. The Marshall Islands out there in the Pacific. A third of the base is gone. Is China and Korea using this underwater torpedo explosion nuclear stuff. We have a third of a base taken out. That's this morning. I've got the entire video. It'll freak you out. So we got topic 4, the state of Texas. How many billions of dollars is it going to cost Texas, or is Texas going to have to succeed? Because we can't have the feds come in and go against the state. DPS has already made thousands of arrests that comply with just arresting illegal aliens, and they should have the right to do that. 4, like I said, civil war or what? But 5, San Diego is getting flooded today. Cars are going down the road. So from San Diego, California, we got floods where the government should help, all the way to Panama City Beach, where we've had 21 tornadoes, all the way out there in Florida and the whole area. The federal government has lacked assistance. They're more interested in giving Iran and Israel money instead of taking care of you and I here at home. Okay, 6, Kiev. Kiev must surrender. The word's out there in the streets. People don't like Zelensky. That's just a bunch of lies we hear. That's Biden's puppet. He's actually working with Benjamin Netanyahu. They're pulling crimes. Remember, I told you there was a Jewish terrorism link that hit that bridge. And who was suffering from basically that happening? All the people of Africa, because Putin was letting the grain from the Ukraine go down. And when they bombed that bridge, they had to shut down those relations. Again, we are getting the wrong spin on everything in America because we are architecting and we're designing the war full on out. At least Jack Wagon Joe is. Remember, he's given all that money to Iran with John Kerry. Then then they're trickling it down there to pay to the Houthis. Well, what did that actually cost? $100 per soldier per month. Cheapest soldiers in the world that we bought by proxy through Iran to fight Israel. They all know about it. I want you to know about it because they're getting sick of us, and we are getting sick of us. As far as the EU and the UN, we're at a record-breaking 25,000 murders right now. Dirty bombs we're using, white phosphorus. We've completely decimated Palestine. And you know what? Even if you're for Israel, look in the Bible. Time and time again, they get destroyed, they come back. They get destroyed, they come back. When they lose their faith, they get destroyed, and somehow they get let back. The United States and Great Britain let them back in 1945. It didn't take long for their racism to perpetuate the area. Can they keep up with what they just did? 25,000 people have been murdered. 75% of them are women and children. 71 world news media anchor journalists have been murdered out there in Palestine. You haven't heard a word because, believe it or not, the Weinsteins, the Soroses, they control the media more than you think, and they all share a special country. Even though George Soros was a Hungarian Jew that got kicked out, I'll remind you there's a post that went out by Alex Soros recently where he threatened Orange Man Good with watermelon balls. Look into it. Tell me how much you tolerate it. 6, I told you about Kiev, but the thing is 7, Russia is hitting them hard, and the more we give, the harder they're going to nail them. We need to completely stop funding war everywhere. We need to fund, if anything, sandwiches, food, love. Get back to making stuff in America, but we can't just, make money off war. 8, California, the richest percent has left the state, and as such, Gavin Newsom finds himself in the state in a $68 billion deficit. It's pretty amazing, but don't worry about it. Even if you leave the state for the next 20 years, they're going to try to harass you. Now, how do I know about that? Well, geez, I did a movie about 20 years ago, done taxes many times. California comes knocking on my door several states ago saying, we didn't tax you right on that movie you did a couple decades ago. I'm like, excuse me? A couple decades ago? So California is going to be going after as many people as they can for as way back as they can because they're 68 billion in the hole. Now, number 9, like I said, statutes of limitations, well, they don't count in the state of California. 10, we had an asteroid explosion. It was SAR 2736, blew up over Belgium. It was about 6 meters, in diameter, and then it got smaller in the upper atmosphere and then basically blew up. 11, this story just came out, and it's actually a year some odd old, and this is why Elon Musk was saying a lot about AI and the dangers of it, but we had a Tesla robot that attacked a man and drew blood, and this is because they left one on, and while he was turning the other ones off, it kind of got scared and had a reaction and attacked somebody, and I got video on that too. 12, Mossad was tracked down in Iraq and murdered by Hamas. 13, Russia. They happen to know where all of the Ukraine storage is for their arsenal. And I wanted to remind that of you because they have what's called satellites. But don't you worry about it. Because Jackwagon Joe let China fly a balloon over the United States, so they know where we got all of our stuff here too. Don't you feel safe? 14, Israel. They overreacted, and they overreacted to all the peace options. And I want you to understand that Benjamin Netanyahu said no. All those little things for hostages that I'm seeing where there's angry people coming in a mob, that's all theatrics and acting. I can tell 100% it's phony. And even when they're planting stuff in various hospitals, to me that looks very staged and phony. Regardless of the case, these are humanitarian crimes. Crimes against humanity are going on. And you're going to see the entire world react. Now, the staff I would put together, you're not going to like because you'd see somebody like Snowden here behind me telling you about the dangers and how the government's actually spying on us, even right now, even when you're talking on your phone, no matter what you say, what you do, they're collecting evidence. You want to know the real reason why they want to take down TikTok? I have 100 million kids between the age of 15 and 30 listening to me on TikTok, and the government can't stop it. And they share it. Even if you check here on Facebook, 1 out of 10 people are sharing me on Facebook, which blows away Megyn Kelly, Dan Bongino, anybody you see. But on TikTok, it goes crazy. And then it goes crazy over there in Russia and China. And you know what? It's teaching the world exactly how we feel, and the world needs to know how we feel because we don't want to kill everybody in Russia or anywhere. And it's important that the world knows that we're not a bunch of warmongers. So 15, there was another U.S. ship that was hit by the Houthis off the coast. I don't want us to get concerned about that or feel sorry for them. They were not using U.S. flagged merchant marine captains. So They've been prophetizing off this war. They're profiting hard, and they're not employing Americans. So if they're losing their stuff, so be it. Don't feel sorry for them at all. They deserve to lose their stuff. They know what they're facing. They know where they're going. And it's, nobody that we need to feel sorry for, because they darn well know what they're doing. Okay, 16. Here's some more stuff I think is total BS. They found a manifesto of the Hamas people, 16 pages, and it starts off with what is called Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. I'm going to tell you how the United States messed up. Just my opinion, and you expect me to give you my opinion. They messed up because the Muslims would never start off a manifesto with the word Operation Jackwagons. It would be in the name of a prayer to one of the prayer battles of Muhammad, and designed after that with one of his sutras. So right there, when you hear about this Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, that's us. That is complete Jewish, Israeli, American propaganda BS, starting with the word operation, just like Operation Prosperity Garden. Okay? Who did that Operation Prosperity Garden? Well, we did, because everything we do starts with the word operation. So that means even further, I'll take it further. I mean, who did we pay off to create the war on October 7th? Because I know it's cheap. Jesus, they're only $100 a month people. Wake up and realize we caused this just so they could do what they're doing to exterminate the Palestinians. The more you look at the evidence, the more you follow the money, the more you could see that this is an orchestrated crime, just like Lahaina. There's no difference, in my opinion, between Lahaina and this. And I'm not even going on too far as where I've got to go with you on the news, but there is so much stuff. I was even wanting you to hear Snowden's latest stuff and what he's got to say. So let me go back to the, I'm going to play this massive wave that took us out in the Marshall Islands. No kidding. Check this out. So this wave blows on in the doors, and this is in the Army base out there. A third of it is completely gone. They're not reporting this to you. I'm the first one. Is this a weapon from Russia and China? And did they just take us out with the massive wave? I think so. The base is gone. Okay. So there you go. 25,000 Palestinian deaths, 75,000 of 75% of them are children. They've blown up all the hospitals. 18 Russian guided bombs are not, they have figured out how to take our guided bombs Russia has, and I'm going to show you their new jamming system, and they can jam our GPS and radar, and I think if they work with China with the satellites, we got to go back to sextant navigation and actually manual stuff, and I don't know if any of our new guys are capable of even manually landing their aircraft, and I'm not kidding. China has a radar microwave weapon, and Russia has a GPS radar jamming weapon. Poland was hit by this week from Kaliningrad 20, and it took down their entire system throughout the middle of Europe. We do not know about that, but don't you think you ought to know about that when their GPS systems didn't work across Europe? Okay, and this is in the area from Poland to Kaliningrad and in the center of Europe. Okay, 21, my topic because of that. Should we let and work with China on this 5G stuff? Okay, is that wise that we're letting them use our technology? Because if you remember, about 6 months ago, Virginia, South Carolina, Florida reported that there were higher levels of radiation coming out of some of the iPhones. Well, if these people are making them, they can weaponize our cell phones and our communication systems. And if we've ingested a lot of graphenes and metal particulate products, again, look at these rogue waves going into our bases. This is the Army base. It is completely gone. The video shows it gone. It slammed the military bases. We had 2 massive waves strike our U.S. military bases in the Pacific, knocking out everything in their path. Okay, this is stuff that we need to know about. I think this is the new war. Don't forget, this just happened to the shores of Japan a couple of weeks ago, the same day that North Korea says they're going to do it. So this could also be North Korea playing around. And maybe their new technology is knowing how to do tsunamis and stuff like that off the coast. We don't know. But we've had massive waves take out a third of the Marshall Islands bases this morning. Okay. Now, I'm going to let you know on other issues what's happening besides that. Talk about tidal waves. Well, Joe Biden wants to nominate this Ketanji Brown Jackson. It makes me want to throw up. I'd rather you just go out and find some, if it's got to be a black woman, why don't you go out and find a school bus driver with kids that's worked their whole life instead of some idiot that went to Harvard like Claudine Gay that can't tell the difference between a man and a woman. If you can't do that and you guys are attacking our border, I think you're going to be expecting a civil war because I can't see basically America standing for that at all. Okay, because she's going to be even worse, even more liberal. And if you try to go throwing those rules with the taking over administration into the state of Texas, my God, look at this. They're putting billions of dollars into other countries, but they're doing nothing for us. Okay, nothing at all. Now, and is God happy with what you're seeing? Well, my answer would be absolutely not. Waking up in San Diego this morning, this is the way it looks. There's rivers. God's pretty happy out there. He's, floating your cars on down the street. And also in China, they had a 7.1 to 7.3 major earthquake, and that's God helping us out by rattling all their homes down to the ground. So, sometimes it's good that God does these things, in my opinion, because we can understand that we're just ants and we just got to kind of build up our homes when we need to. Now, that Tesla robot story that I was talking about, it was kept quiet for some time. I'm going to let you hear about this because they had to keep it quiet because of lawsuits in the state of Texas, believe it or not. And then they were able to talk about it. Have you heard about it? Did you know that there was an AI advanced robot that went around and attacked people? Yes or no? Okay, so that's why Elon Musk was telling you, you got to watch out about this stuff. Okay?
Yeah, in true blood, in the process. This is wild. All right, if this isn't the most bizarre thing, I really don't know what is. It is hard to believe this could happen in real life, but a software engineer was attacked by a malfunctioning robot. Yeah. It happened on the floor of the Tesla factory in Austin, Texas, and according to an injury report submitted to federal officials and health authorities. While the attack actually happened 2 years ago, the outlandish incident has just now come to light. The robot report.
All right, I'm going to back up.
Well, just when you thought you heard it all, brace yourself for the bizarre. It's something that you might expect to see in the movie I, Robot or The Terminator, but this scenario jumped right off the silver screen into a car factory. Chief Transportation Correspondent May K. Beeler is here now. And May K, a new report was just released about a robot going rogue in a factory and injuring a worker.
Yeah, in true blood.
Wow.
In the process. This is wild. All right, if this isn't the most bizarre thing, I really don't know what is. It is hard to believe this could happen in real life, but a software engineer was attacked by a malfunctioning robot. Yeah. It happened on the floor of the Tesla factory in Austin, Texas. That, according to an injury report submitted to federal officials and health authorities. While the attack actually happened 2 years ago, the outlandish incident has just now come to light. The robot reportedly attacked and just really acted out on a violent streak after the engineer disabled other robots and inadvertently left it on. Reports say the robot pinned the engineer and sank its metal claws into its back and arm, causing serious injuries, leaving a trail of blood on the floor. Now, the robots were designed to cut car parts from cast pieces of aluminum. The engineer was just programming the software and turned two of the other robots off to work on the machines. But the rogue robot was accidentally disregarded, unintentionally left operational, and perhaps displayed its dislike for the disabling of his Android associates. One can only wonder what in the world prompted the attack. You can't make this stuff up.
Isn't that amazing? It's like total Terminator stuff, actually. And I want you to know that it's total Terminator stuff. All right. So that's the dangers of this, and we had this happen in Texas here. So the other thing I want you to know is Russia flooding the Ukraine today with an extra 2,000 tanks, upgraded tanks. So they haven't even just started. They were getting rid of all the old stuff. This is proof that we're going to lose, and we're going to lose bad. Okay, they just used this whole entire war as a testing ground to disseminate HIMARS to make our guided missiles miss. Operation successful. If they hit us, they're going to hit us right now. They've got it to where we've got a bought out, compromised government. We're as weak as financially we ever will be. Will they let us get back on the wagon? Will they let us put Trump back in? Or will they take us out during this time while we continue to do as much naughty stuff as we possibly could? Okay, so Russia floods Ukraine with an extra 2,000 vehicles in response to substantial tank losses in the Ukraine conflict. Russia's state-owned Rostec Corporation just went on to go remarkable work, and they transformed their military specifically in the production of tanks. So now they're getting 1,900 really new, nice ones with an additional 200 armored vehicles. Keep in mind, they just also have upgraded the Shahed 228 drone from the 128, 238 to 228. It's now jet black, bigger and faster, and can operate throughout the winter in the ice and the snow, whereas the propeller ones could not do that. But keep in mind, all of these are coming in through rail and were delivered into the Ukraine. So not only is the Ukraine losing, there is now a whole entire new army, brand new army that's been delivered free courtesy of Vladimir Putin. If you thought that you were losing, you're about to lose even more, because now you're going to have basically the help of China and Iran and all of BRICS, which is 85% of the world's population, going against us. And it seems like they got the food and the gas now. It's because we fell into Israel's trap. And I do mean that. This paraglider thing could have easily been funded by just George Soros, Alexander Soros, somebody with a good spare $250,000. Those paragliders are very cheap, just to go over, shoot people with AK-47s. Just give them the excuse to do this and do a property grab. Then they took those leaders out before they could be questioned, and they had a money trail back to them. And to me, it smells like the JFK assassination or even 9/11. And when I see this Operation Alaska flood, to me, that sounds like the United States of America. And these are things I'm not joking about. So as you can see behind me, Hamas, they're claiming right here that they have a document they found on the October 7th attack. And they're saying the Palestinian group reveals, and the name of the document again is Operation something. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me with the BS we're coming up with. I don't believe it one bit. Okay. And as far as if you think they support Zelensky over in the Ukraine, no, they're looking for him. And Vitaly Klitschko wants to personally rough the guy up. Zelensky's the most wanted man. He's basically Jack Wagon Joe's counterpart over there. We in America support Vitaly Klitschko. We don't support Zelensky. Zelensky's the reason why 80% of your men have gone. He's the reason why there's some sort of biomass and hazards that are going on. And he did a sale over at the WEF with BlackRock and Vanguard and everybody else the other day. So he's out. He's probably going to be going back to his mansions in Miami. And this will be a continued thing, like I said, with those organizations that own 5 to 10% of Fox News and media. Again, FBI, CIA, they have this other funded $10 billion that we're going up against. That's something that was busted by RFK Jr. These are the forces that we're going up against, and it's just, they're the forces that are just tearing America apart. I'm going to say something about first responders. We lost some great first responders here in the state of Oklahoma, and it's our first responders that are always saving us. And these 3 men have been responsible, just so you know, for basically saving tons of people throughout the state for decades. So, and that would be Stephen Fitzgerald right there, and Adam Tebbin and Russell Haslam. And God bless you and your families, and thank you so much for everything that you've done for the state of Oklahoma. And our prayers are with you and your families. And they didn't make better people than first responders, I'll tell you that. So Palestine, we got to understand something when they say, hey, are you on this side or that side, or or what do you want? You know, what side are you on? I want you to know something, and maybe I want you to hear something. You support this?
A mother's piercing cry. Don't take her from me, she screams, cradling her daughter's tiny body. Behind her, medics struggle to save another child's life. It's a scene of horror that's hard to process. Patients sprawled across the floor. We waited all night for the ambulance, Rabi says. My mother told me to rescue the rest of the family, but now she's gone, he sobs. Panic and frenzied fear as yet more young babies are rushed in. Children and women make up the vast majority of those killed in Gaza, according to Palestinian officials.
That's Bidenomics in action, and I want you to know that. So if you support that war, get off my channel. Seriously, take your butt, get out of here. If you're about killing children, you think that, oh, well, they started it. If you're that childish, get out of here. I don't ever care to see your comment again. You're not a Christian. Because as far as Jesus is concerned, children come first. And I believe in that. Children come before all of us. We can't have children die. I'm going to show you this entire town that was just razed by our equipment. This is an entire town that was just blown up to the entire ground, called Khan Yunis. Look at it there. And they're bragging about it. This was posted by Israeli military. This is a city loaded full of people. So you just saw the women running out of there with their dead babies. You just heard them crying. And as far as everybody leaving, they're leaving in Oscarts. But there's obviously another dirty bomb, white phosphorus everywhere. Here's Israeli soldiers that are laying mines everywhere, smiling in front of it, so that they're booby-trapping the whole entire area before people get completely devastated. Now, these death numbers are way low. I want you to look at that. There you go. The entire city was just blown up. The entire neighborhood was just blown up. I do not support this. I know that there were tons of kids and women that were just murdered right there. And I do know that that because of stuff like that, I don't know if Israel will be able to recover there. And I said this on my last show. I believe because they have been so unsympathetic to the people of Palestine. That might be the end of this experiment for a while. And the Jews that we see that are scattered might be the ones that live in the United States. They might be the ones that live in Russia, even the ones that live in Germany. But as far as what they're doing over there, today, this picture will be remembered for 100 years. When was the last time you saw an entire city blown up to the ground? Let's look at it again. The entire city. Okay? Everybody there, they didn't even get to go to the hospital. This explosion's so massive, okay, as far as what they did, and as far as how they're doing it. It is so brutal. It is so unsympathetic. The people that are leaving are all leaving on foot or in donkeys. And you will see that you will see that Israel has lost the sympathy from all of Europe. And that was their final ally, even with us here. But nobody in America condones this. Think about this. Think about this if this happened to a city in the United States. And this is as Russia drops off another 10,000 Shahed drones. My question is, how many did they make for the United States of America? The HIMARS has been taken out by something called the R330ZH Zettel. And as Khan Yunis has been completely raved and leveled just as you see behind me, Putin promises the people of Palestine that this will stop. And that if Israel does that one more time, that he will help do the same. I'm going to suggest that he already did that when he made the nuclear bombers drop off in Iran yesterday. He probably gave Iran the tools they needed to finish the job. They also gave them a satellite to hit into the sky. So now in tandem we have China and Iran working together over the Red Sea. And with the radar weapons, the space weapons, the microwave weapons, this war has just begun. Alex Soros. Did he put a hit on Trump? I don't know, and we can't ask the two Navy SEALs that just paid their lives, Chris Chambers and Nate Ingram. And Nate's from Texas. And my prayers are to both your families. God bless you and thank you. We have a nation to save. I never thought it would look this way. I never thought that we'd be a country that would just hand off an arsenal so that they could just do mass murder. Are all these men guilty, you think? Look at them. To me, they're just wearing their t-shirts. They've been living in Palestine, and it really wouldn't have been hard to orchestrate this whole thing. And all the Ukraine is some massive orchestration, and we know it. So Hamas is just now getting started. And I wanted you to know that. And what you're seeing right here is a report on the small asteroid that exploded over Germany. And they actually caught it. And like I said, it's got a name. But we got to understand that there's a lot of these things up into the sky. And they're happening now. Something that almost made me throw up in my mouth was looking at these four retards running for Senate in the state of California. I saw Shifty Schiff there, and I was like, oh my God, running for Senate. I wish I could be a Dino, run for Senate against them. You know, be a dynamite Democrat in name only. But realistically, when I heard all these people, well, I guess there was a Republican there, but every single one of them is a total tool jackwagon. This guy here is just an enemy of the state. I hate everybody that goes against Trump, and I extra special hate this guy, Shifty Schiff. This guy is just a tool that works against the state. Instead of running for Senate, he deserves to be in federal prison for lying to the American public, okay? And he's basically a Russian tool. He's made up so much stuff about President Trump. He doesn't need to be a senator. I don't even know how he's qualified. The fact that this guy's on stage going for Senate in the state of California, while President Trump has had over, 90 indictments, and partially because of this tool behind me? No. Shifty Schiff needs to be in prison. We cannot let him win. Anything that we can do to go against him, we need to do. Because with governors and with systems like that, we're going to have an open border from California to Texas, remember. And with Ketanji Brown just coming in there, it's not just going to be 5-4. It's going to be 6-3 here, or, coming up. And that's what America's looking like. So again, before we go on to the final thing, I just wanted to tell you, and I wanted you to see this, was this a war weapon that hit a U.S. base? Again, we've never had a third of our bases taken out. This was something that wasn't even expected. This rogue wave just came in, slamming our base. And it looks a lot like, what we're seeing in Japan. And again, North Korea just announced that they had some sort of technology like this, and so did China. And what a clever way to take us out. Just diversity, equity, inclusion hires, and also us ignoring things that might not be natural. So I'm suggesting that this actually might be a war weapon. and we need to pay attention to that. No one else is saying that, but I'm about to say I think we're about to go into a war hardcore and experience tools that we've not seen, like waves, like radiation, like GPS burners, like radiation burners. And already in Poland, their GPSs don't work. And it's because of a new Russian technology war weapon that they're going to be using against our F-16s and all of our smart guided munitions. My name's Chris Sanders. Please like, share, subscribe. Thank you for joining me here at the American News Network, major news network, on Roku. But there, a picture can say 1,000 words. And if they got this technology that they're doing on islands, how would that work in Venice Beach, in Long Beach? How would that work in San Francisco? Well, understand this could be a real reality. And that's just kind of also why I'm showing it to you. God bless, amen, and have a good day.